Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. For today, what I want to do is talk about fat acceptance TikTok and the lack of authenticity within the movement. After seeing this creator, I realized that much of fat acceptance is basically based upon inauthenticity. And the reason that I say that is because I've seen a lot of fat acceptance TikTokers and, people within this movement. They say very similar things to this person. And this person her name is Ruthie, I think. That's what it is on her TikTok now, but she used to be like Fat Vegana or something like that. Her name has changed, I think. And I was just kind of doing a deep dive on her and just researching a lot of her TikToks and a lot of things that she says, and I stumbled upon this little series of hers. And it showed me a lot, so I want to show it to you guys as well.
So I'm going to try and tell you guys how I overcame my fat phobia and my distaste for my body and other fat bodies. I saw this Tumblr post that was like, the first thing that you think about a stranger is what you've been conditioned to think.
So right away, I don't know that I would necessarily just dive into what a Tumblr post says. I think that I would definitely question, as a lot of people on Tumblr in the past, they have supported very unhealthy things that we will not get into on this channel or on this video at least. And so I think it would be important to look at Tumblr with a sense of skepticism. I also would question the notion that what we first see about somebody is based on what society thinks. I think that that is extremely reductionistic to human variation, and I also think that it would be very difficult to prove that everybody feels that way or everybody experiences things that way. So when she says this, I don't intuitively hear that and think, oh, that's me. I don't think that. For me, when I see somebody, I see what I see, and then I'll evaluate what I see. And I'll just think, okay, let me assess the evidence of certain things and see if I was right. If I was wrong, then I'll have to be open to being wrong. But when it comes to something like attraction, do I find this person attractive or not? Your body has a response. Your body knows.
Society. The second thing you think is how you truly are. And I thought about it and I was like, whenever I see somebody who's fat, my first thought is they're gross.
Yeah, so I would tend to think that that's how she really feels. Now, you guys can decide for yourself what you think. Do you think that when you first see somebody, it's how you feel? Or do you think that it's how society feels?
So I went back and retaught myself how to see when I was being fat phobic. And like, I saw somebody wearing tiny shorts and they didn't like flatter their figure. So my second thought after thinking they didn't flatter them was they're comfortable in their body and in their shorts and they look good. I do that all the time.
So it's in my view that she's essentially looking at stuff and correcting herself all the time. Now this would be literally the definition of being inauthentic. It is having a reaction to something or feeling something about something or seeing something and then shifting it in your head to be more fake. So that would be fake. So if you see somebody and you think that they look ugly, but then you say, no, wait, they're not ugly, they look great. That's inauthentic. You're lying to yourself. You can still be inauthentic by self-deception.
We're living in a time where people's lives online can be edited to look like anything that they want them to look like. And I was following like the Kardashians and a bunch of like famous people and influencers on Instagram, and I thought that that's what people looked like.
I would agree that there can be a lot of inauthenticity online. I think that even in the media, anything like this, yes, I agree with her. It exists. There are people that do construct their entire lives around a false identity or a sort of false narrative. Or people downplay bad parts of their lives or they uplift good parts of their lives. And I would say there's a lot of people that actually do this in the fat acceptance movement, where they will downplay the health effects of what they're doing. They try to show different shots. You know, I've seen a lot on Fat Veganist TikToks where she inserts clips of herself looking happy and, you know, the smiles on her face and doing all this stuff. Like, and I understand that maybe other people, especially younger people, may not realize that that could be fake. But I definitely have a skepticism of stuff like that. And when I do hear her talking about this, it's very odd because it almost makes me think she realized that people lied online about who they were, and then she realized that she could do the same. And so she did. That's how I feel. As somebody who is of a certain size, who has certain health issues, which you can see from her, she does have some health issues. I can definitely see a bit of moon face going on. No shade, girl. I'm just saying. It's a sign of some hormonal issues. Like, she's probably struggling. I've seen in other TikToks, she talks about how she has mental health issues and a lot of different things. And I know what that stuff is like. So I do acknowledge that she says it.
I'm researching psychiatrists right now to get help for my mental disorders.
But there were certain TikToks I could not even show on this channel because of the nature of the content, where she's talking about certain things that she did to herself. And I can't even talk about it on this channel. So it's like, there's a lot going on there. So I'm not really fooled necessarily by her little happiness clips and this kind of stuff that she puts into a lot of her What I Eat in a Day videos. And again, with her having this sort of cynical understanding from the Kardashians, is it really that much of a leap to think that maybe she's doing the same?
They do not look that way. No one has perfectly smooth skin or a perfect curve in their side all the time. Like, I was living in a false reality, and it was the one that they created to make themselves feel the way they think people should look. But that's not how people look, because people are people. So I unfollowed a lot of celebrities and like influencers, but I started following like a bunch of accounts that show fat people existing in a normal state. And it's not altered. Like, I don't alter my photos or my videos so y'all can see what I truly am.
I don't know if she thinks that just showing yourself, like, I can tell you guys, I'm a little bit discombobulated after this move. I didn't realize the shirt was inside out. We're rolling with it. That's an authentic moment. It was not intentional whatsoever, but I am not changing it until whatever. It is what it is. I'm still figuring stuff out. Behind me, you guys can see. That's authentic. This is a mistake. And I will tell you, it is a mistake, but I'm not starting filming over. That's authentic. But I think she doesn't understand that just because you don't edit yourself the way you look, that doesn't mean that you're not editing certain aspects of your experience. You're not only showing certain sides of things. It doesn't mean that you're not hiding certain parts of your personality. It doesn't mean any of that. And it's not that people don't do this in general, but when it becomes such a huge thing, like I said, like if I were to get on here and tell you guys, I have no health issues, I'm feeling amazing all the time, and let me go ahead and just put some shots of me skipping around and being happy and everything and acting like everything is sunshine and rainbows, even though it clearly isn't, based on other TikToks I would have made. You have to realize that just because I'm not editing how I look, it's like you're still editing your whole personality. You're editing everything about your life and your whole experience, and you're not being real. You're not telling people the actual dangers of being that size. At least let people make an educated decision. That's how I feel about it.
So that when you see yourself from a certain angle, or in a, like you don't feel like, oh my God, that's my body. Like, they're like, yeah, that's my body. And I think it's important that, like, you don't give yourself a false sense of, like, who people are supposed to be and who you are supposed to be. Because there's no one way to exist. The human experience is infinite, and there are so many ways for you to exist, and all of them are correct.
So I actually disagree with her here. I do think that there are an infinite number of ways to be human, but there's still an ideal. And what do I mean by an ideal? An ideal is basically something to work towards. It's something that you'll never actually reach, but it's something that you're reaching towards. And it gives people purpose, and I think it is how human beings are designed to be. We're supposed to be aiming towards something. Even if we don't make it, it doesn't really matter, but there is still an ideal to be working towards, even if that ideal looks different for everybody. But taking care of your body, taking care of your health, that is an ideal that is universal. No matter how healthy or sick you are, no matter how young, unless if you're like a newborn, obviously you have to be taken care of, or old, you do what you can to take care of yourself. That is a universal value that pretty much anybody can get behind, unless if you're like her and you believe that there's no difference between right and wrong, there's nothing to work towards, there's nothing to strive towards, which again, I understand the sticking point. To me, I think the ideal being based upon appearance or something superficial is toxic. But the ideal being based upon certain principles, values, religion, anything, even just basic laws of physics, like taking care of yourself will help you live a better life in terms of your life expectancy and whatnot. These kind of things are not an issue. Health is not superficial. Health is way more than skin deep, and striving towards that is beneficial for anybody. It doesn't really matter who you are.
But if you're existing to hurt somebody else, that ain't it. We don't stand bigots and people that hurt other people. That's not cool.
Now, I think hearing those words, we don't stand bigots, for example, most of us could agree, but what if she defines a bigot as somebody telling her that it's unhealthy to be fat? Is that a bigot? Probably is to her. If you telling her the truth about her health hurts her, then she doesn't support what you're doing. If it hurts her feelings, then you're hurting her. That's something that we may need to get into within this movement at a later point, where they do equate themselves with their feelings. They're not this loving, open community where you can do anything and be yourself and you don't have to live up to any standard. They just want you to live up to their standard. All they're trying to do is replace a healthy standard with an unhealthy one. That's essentially all they're doing. So if you're looking for something accepting and loving and whatever, I don't think you should be looking there.
Nobody is born to hate their body. It's something that you learn over time, and the more you're exposed to negativity and diet culture and fat phobia, the harder it is to think that you're deserving and worthy exactly as you are. There is an entire industry that is built on telling people that they are not good enough in their bodies, and they make money off of you hating yourself.
People also make a lot of money on you not taking care of yourself. So if you're eating the fast food, going to the doctor all the time, if you're having to buy new clothes all the time, there's much, much, much more money in that at this point.
Healthy eating, diet culture, models, fashion, just existing in today's society, there are a million ways that people will tell you that your body needs to change because you're not good enough in what you have. And it's not true, it's bullshit. The second that you start taking back your power and believing that you truly are perfect as you are, which you are.
Within this little series of hers, she literally said how she started out being so fat phobic and she has to change every single thought she has when she sees people. But then in this one, she's saying that she's perfect. I think everybody knows that they're not perfect, but I think trying to tell other people that they are and that you think you are is ultimately inauthentic. It's lying to yourself and lying to others. I'm not going to get on here and tell you guys that you're perfect the way you are. Nobody is. There's always room for improvement. There's always places to grow. That doesn't mean that you should use an ideal version of yourself to beat yourself with the stick with, but it does mean that you should be working towards something, even if there isn't this sort of shadow staring you down in the mirror of who you could be. There should be just, something deeper than appearance, something deeper than what career you should have or something. It should be like, in an ideal world, I wouldn't have these coping mechanisms to this trauma, and I wouldn't inflict that onto other people. Let me work towards that. In an ideal world, I wouldn't have an addiction. Let me work towards getting rid of that. In an ideal world, I would take care of myself as much as I could. Let me work towards that. So you can see, I'm not telling you to think of this ideal version as the thin you, the famous you, the popular you, the rich you, the one that has, the most amazing partner. I'm not telling you to think of yourself in those ways as an ideal self. You need to have an ideal self that is deeper than that, because that is ultimately what an ideal is. It's deep. It's a high-level concept. It's not something shallow like how you look or what job you do. It's more than that. And that's what people should be working towards. But a lot of people don't get that. She's thinking an ideal version of herself is the thin her. I'm thinking an ideal version of herself is somebody who doesn't have these mental health issues, that is not encumbered in her life, that can do all that she wants to do without having to worry about this stuff and not have to put herself through these things, or somebody who can deal with what she went through as a kid and stuff, because she kind of talked about some things, some of her TikToks, or like her dad was really harsh with her when it came to her weight and stuff, and it's like, it doesn't make sense to say that I'm perfect, but I have to unpack all this, or I have to do all this. It's like, it's a balance. It's definitely a balancing act. It's something that's really hard for teenagers to understand, but we're adults, and we can understand this. And that's kind of where I'm at with it. It's like, if we're adults, we're adults. I think we know what a healthy ideal looks like. And if we don't, then maybe we should look into that, because it would be helpful to have something to work towards.
They have no more say in what you do with your life. It is so freeing to wake up every day and not think about what I'm gonna eat that day.
Okay, so when I first saw this, that just floored me, because I'm like, girl, you are vegan. Vegans always have to think about what they eat all the time. So it is obviously such a lie. Like, this woman is a liar, straight up. She's just pushing some type of narrative for her to be able to get clicks and likes. Because when I saw that, I was like, okay, girl, like, you're not even trying to be real in this. I can't take you seriously at all. And then I just realized, like, it really isn't just her. It's the same thing with the fat acceptance activists that have a super fit partner, for example, or a thin partner. It's the kind of thing that slaps you in the face all the time when you look at this type of content. And so, again, I'm really just here to advocate for you to throw it out. Just throw it in the trash. It's not real whatsoever.
And if it will be healthy enough for me, if I'm gonna work out enough, if I'm gonna lose enough weight this next week, if the clothing I'm wearing is flattering on me or not. I simply exist in a body that serves me and only me. I used to tell myself that I was ugly and that I hated myself, and I never do that anymore.
Again, I think that she's lacking a bit of balance. It seems like she was extremely self-critical before, and now she doesn't criticize herself at all. And I don't think either one of those ways of looking at yourself are healthy. What you need to do is just look at yourself as you are. What is good about you? What is bad about you? And just accept it and then work with it. And that's what a lot of people don't get. It's not about never criticizing yourself. No, like, if you don't ever criticize yourself, that's also not loving yourself. If you love yourself, you want to improve in ways that are feasible, possible, and honestly beneficial. That would be the most loving thing. And something like being healthy physically is very good, if possible. And being overweight, at the end of the day, it is a choice. People think it isn't, but it is. It is a choice. Absolutely. It's a difficult choice, but it's still a choice.
Even when I am feeling my worst, I do not tell myself that I look ugly, or that I'm not worthy, or that I hate myself, because it's not true. I look at myself every day and I see a body that's keeping me alive. I am this body. This body is me. And there is not one single person who will take that from me, because it is mine and mine alone. Live the life that you want for yourself. Do not let someone else tell you what you have to do to fit into their standard. Finding the power within yourself to accept, love, and cherish yourself exactly as you are is the most important thing you will do in your lifetime.
So if I were 7 or 8 years younger, I would agree with that statement. But I think what is the most important thing is to actually recognize, to love yourself enough to recognize your patterns that are toxic and holding you back, and ultimately break them. That's truly the most loving thing. That's when your life will open up. When you enable yourself to do whatever you want all the time, it's definitely not as loving as breaking bad habits, or getting out of toxic cycles, or taking a different path than you did previously because it didn't work multiple times. Those kind of things, I think, are actually the most important things you will do in your life. And they're also the most challenging. But with that, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. As you guys can see, I just moved. I'm still figuring out the background. You can see my little baby cove. I think it's right there. I can't really see. I'm not wearing my glasses. But I had my friend make that for me because that whole thing was so traumatic for me. And it helped to have my friend, she crocheted it. It just helped me to make a bit more light out of a dark situation. And I really appreciate it. So thank you so much. But that's what I have there. And then I have all my plants, which I'm going to talk to you guys about them soon. Because I want to talk about my hobbies and stuff and what I do to not binge. So thank you guys so much. I will see you guys very soon. I hope that you enjoyed this. Please let me know your thoughts below. And I will talk to you guys again soon. See you later.